was very excited that I could come to this space. Knowing that this space is available is something that kept me very excited and motivated. Like I was excited to come here despite the very difficult week it was.
Non-judgmental listening is hard to find.
Mm, yeah, that's the whole intention behind it, right? It's just like it's you manifest this positive energy into the space, and then it becomes a space that you can trust to have that type of energy when you need it. So like it's dope for me to be in a place where I have this space to be able to enjoy it, and I can rely on that for that, you know. And so it's like when you have that access, then you immediately want that to be the space for somebody else because a lot of people are hurting, bro. A lot of people are hurting.
Big facts. Big facts. And I hope everybody out here listening to this, even just through the vulnerability of you being willing to say, like, times is hard. You know what I mean? I'm operating at 80%. There's 20 missing. You know, I think that vulnerability creates that safe is part of what you need to create that space of safety. And so anybody listening, I hope that y'all feel that this is a safe space for y'all too. So jump in the comments, like, subscribe, you know what I mean? All that.
Yeah. But that being said, they shouldn't get it twisted that we haven't come ready with this energy and this carefully curated content for their head top, bro. We don't care what it is. Rain, what is it? What's how does the say go? Rain, shine, sleet, snow.
I don't think they put shine in there because I think it's kind of understood that if it is shine, that everything will be fine. I didn't even mean to rhyme, but it happens all the time. But what I was saying is that like rain, sleet, hail, snow, I think is what it is.
But that being said, even if it's shining, we'll be trapping. So that, you know, that's the motto over here.
Big, big facts.
Oh
The
man.
24/7 Trap House, Get Right Radio, all the way live is in full effect. What up, people? How y'all doing?
What it do, what it do, what it do. Can we get some air horns, some gunshots to be able to welcome our people to this lovely space of ours, please, sir?
Well, since you asked so nicely, sir. Good people. What's good? How y'all doing out there, man?
One gunshot for everybody that's going through some tough times, please. Thank you, thank you,
I
thank
don't
you.
know if I don't know if the people going through a tough times needed a gunshot, but you got one. Nah,
Hey
big
man,
facts, big facts.
the gunshots
It
in
comes
this
from
space mean something different though. Our gunshots are positive gunshots.
break that down.
These are it's a celebratory sound. You know what I mean? It's a celebratory sound. So for us, we're flipping something that's associated with the negative sound with a little bit of positivity. When we say gunshots, we just mean big up yourself, like my Jamaican brothers like to say.
Oh, I like how you just did that, man. I like how you just did that.
Hey man, you caught me middle of this lovely introduction. As we say, whether it's one person, 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, a million people, it don't matter to us, man. Everybody's welcome. We welcome everybody to the All the Way Live podcast. This right here, as we have said earlier, is nothing more than a positive space surrounded by carefully. You see, I'm trying to new intro, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to remix it and throw some new sauce on it.
I was digging it. I was digging it. I thought Puff was about to what bad boy. I thought it was coming.
Hey man, but that being said, man, you know, this is a positive space and a conversation between two brothers, two best friends. I'm one half of the hosting team, Zolaka Gila, and I'm joined with my brother, Miles Xavier, and together we are the All the Way Live podcast. And what we do is we take this carefully curated content and we put it together for Ukrainian, man. And today's show is something that's fun. You know, we coming off of a guest episode before, so we got some pretty exciting, fun topics for the day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. What up, people? Chicago is in the building. Joe Burger's in the building. This side, you know what it is. This podcast is filmed on stolen land, right? We operating in the space of the Potawatomi people, the Council of the Three Fires. The violence that was done to them to remove them from this land is inseparable from the state we find ourselves in, the state we find this city in. And moving forward, we just want to lift up love between Black and brown people the world over, lift up love for indigenous people the world over, intro over. Let's get into the show. What you got
Yes,
for us, Way?
sir. Yes, sir, Brother Miles. What we put together for the people today and how we put it together is by separating this show into three different parts. Now, these three different parts are Stumble Upon, and this is when me and Miles begin to talk about some of the topics and things that we have stumbled upon over the week. These are thoughts, things, and alliteration would have led me to another T word. A little, thoughts, things, and topics. Boom. Thoughts, things, and topics.
Got him. Got him. Come on, son.
Thoughts, things, and topics that have been interesting to us. And that's the Stumble Upon. And today we're going to be talking about them building a hotel in the sky. Miles Xavier. I hope they don't have any of those flies in the sky. For people that are just listening, there's a fly that is bothering me in the studio right now.
But you like Floyd Mayweather dodged them. You showed a little bit of your skill right there. I seen how you just kind of moved. You got good head movement. But also, I know nothing about this hotel in the sky, my guy. And I hate to reveal how the lack of pre-production, but I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm excited. Keep telling the people what they go get.
Hey man, listen, from Stumble Upon, we take people to current news. And in current news, this is where me and Miles reach for the very top of what's relevant in today's news cycle. We digest that, we break it down for y'all, and we bring it to y'all. And today we're going to be talking about, again, Jay-Z's deal with Tidal and Square. Jay-Z selling majority shares of Tidal to Square. And me and Miles Xavier, we love ourselves a good economics business conversation, especially when it includes Black excellence, man.
Boom. What else you need? That's what you're going to get. I know they're ready. But what else? Is there anything else?
There is more. And I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. And the last section of the show, man, this is recommended as a review. And we say this every week, Miles Xavier, this is our favorite part of the show. And why is that, my brother?
Just the part where we interact with y'all, man. Where we take what y'all recommend us to watch, and we watch it, and we tell y'all what we think. And then y'all tell us what y'all think about what we think. It's a beautiful circle.
What are we going to be recommending? What are the people recommending for us this week, bro?
Yeah, this dude. All right, I'm gonna just tell the people. This guy, we was playing music before the podcast, and this guy got a little carried away, man. He just ran through the whole music set, was playing all his hits, you know what I mean? But then we didn't even talk about what we was gonna do for the show. He was just like playing our little intro song that gets us hype, and we was in. And I was like, all right, bet. But what we could talk about is I saw Coming to America too. So I can
that is a great
answer.
Topic.
I don't know if you saw it. If you didn't see it, I can answer any questions you might have about it. If you did see it, we could chop it up.
Yeah. I think one half of us watching it is about exactly the amount of people that should watch Coming to America too.
We in here.
I did, Miles Xavier. Let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it pushing for my Stumble Upon. So,
right? There's a hotel in the sky.
There's a hotel in the sky. Listen, and over here we like to deal with facts. We don't deal with just rumors, Miles Xavier. So there's some things I need to read.
All right. You're going to have to break it down for us, champ.
Yo, nigga, your brother told us how you be all into reading and shit. Hey, that's some real good shit, my nigga, for real. Congratulations, nigga.
As he takes his glasses on, off, and back on again.
Yeah, for dramatic effect. So this is off of CNN this week. World's first space hotel scheduled to open in 2027. If you're daydreaming of future travels while stuck at home during the pandemic, why fantasize about the beaches of Bali or the canals of Venice when vacationing space could be in the future? Back in 2019, Californian company, the Gateway Foundation, released plans for a cruise ship-style hotel that could one day float above the Earth's atmosphere. Then called the Von Braun Station, the futuristic concept comprised of 24 modules connected by elevator shafts that make up a rotating wheel orbiting Earth, was scheduled to be fully operational by 2027. Let me read that again. The futuristic concept comprised of 24 modules connected by elevator shafts that make up a rotating wheel orbiting the Earth, was scheduled to be fully operational by 2027. So let me share with you what it looks like. Or you can look it up on your side what this particular thing looks like.
Yeah, I'm imagining something very like Star Trek, very, very like Interstellar looking, right? The orbiting space station. and it quite frankly makes me seasick. But also, I think that's 2027 is a lot sooner than I would have anticipated, than I've ever thought. Like I would be seeing people hoteling, vacationing in space. Right now, I'm taking that date with a grain of salt because, you know, we always pushing back the album date. So maybe but even 2030 is sooner than I even thought about the idea of people. I mean, we've thought about the idea, but realistically, for there to be a hotel under construction, that's crazy.
Now, I'm glad you said how taking it with a grain of salt, because a lot of times when we hear these types of news, for instance, with the Boring Company and Elon Musk, they were supposed to have put a tunnel under LA 2019 or 2018 as they had initially projected. Don't fact check me on those numbers. That is a guess. And so a lot of the times we get these things and it doesn't usually happen when they say it's going to happen. But the concept of a hotel in the sky, that it's cool. It's a cool idea, but I don't know if I'm going to be one of those people that's just gunning to get up there. It looks like there's a lot of margin of error up there.
I like how you, and that's the funny thing about this conversation, right? Is like, as much as your thoughts about your willingness to go up there or not are valid, you can't afford it. I'm imagining.
You just told me
You know what I
to
mean?
get that problem out of my head.
I'm just saying, dude. Like, I don't think it's gonna be like the Western Express, bro. I don't think you're gonna be able to pull in that mug for $50 a night and park up and see some space shit. You know what I mean?
It's not going to be that easy.
Man.
You don't see it be a seamless a day trip on a last second day trip. Just like, let's go to the space station, man. Let's go chill over there.
I see it being very exclusive, very expensive, to the point of potentially being invite only, at least, especially at the beginning, right? And if not to be blackety black about it, but when I think about it, it's like this is another frontier, and it goes beyond like blackness, right? It's also a class thing, but it's also like, all right, so now who's gonna get to be in space? Like rich people, right? And I just think what that says about who we're sending up there and making that a luxury experience, think says a lot about who we are. That's all.
I'm okay with it being a luxury experience. I mean, not everything. Some things are just luxury experiences. You know what I mean? If you want to take, they have Air Galactic that Virgin Air had a while back. They did these various space tours, right? I mean, for a certain amount of, and then people pay a certain amount of cash, and then they get to go into zero gravity. Those zero gravity tours, at first they were expensive, and then they started like listening up on the prices. So I'm not against things being reserved for the few that can afford it, if that's what it's for. I don't think we need to be in space. If that is, I hope that's not too strong of a statement to make, but I don't see the need to race there when there's so much here on Earth that we still need to figure out. So if that is a luxury thing that stays there, so what, man? Let some rich people do that.
I agree with you. I mean, I agree. I don't know if we necessarily need to be in space, if that's a physical, like, human need. But then, so think about this, right? Like, think about it as like the sea, right? Like, you don't need to live by the ocean. You don't need to have waterfront property at any point in your life, right? You know what I mean? But like at a certain point, I think that's a beautiful thing for people to be able to experience. And even the extent of people buying up waterfront property and making it private beaches where regular citizens who can't afford to pay for that experience can't have access to just being able to go to the beach, right? And like there have been things put in place by different governments to prevent that, to keep certain beaches public. But I think about that, you know what I mean? And yeah, I'm being a bleeding heart about it for sure. But like, if you think about space and being able to see that and the perspective it might give you to be able to see the world from space as a human experience, I just think that that's something that everybody should have access to if that's something that's possible, right?
Yeah.
So
usually these things come in the phases of gradual implementation and gradual commonization, if that's even a word. But slowly getting the interest up there, and then capital interest follows. Once the market demand follows, capital interest follows, and then very gradually you see the price of things slowly start going down. You know what I mean? So that's just like the natural progression of these things. When trains first came about, it was when let's say public trains first came about, it was only the reserved for the rich that could experience that way of locomotive. And then over time, the demand increases and the price goes down. I think we see something similar with that. Now, am I going to be going? I would love to go. I'd love to go at some point. I think that would be cool. Why not?
Yeah. But I mean, I think to go back to the point about like, yeah, eventually demand will go down. But I think for better or worse, whoever gets to go first and build things and establish a culture in any given space is important, right? Like if people go up into space and they decide, well, there are so few restaurants in space that all of the restaurants are black tie, right? And now it's like, oh, well, now even if I could potentially afford to go to space, I don't have a suit and tie. You know what I mean? It's just like, why does every everything have to, why does every experience, even something that's so important for humans, your humanity, have to be filtered through that capitalist system? Why can't people just have access to the thing because humans made a way to have access to the thing? You know what I mean? And I think that's, you're, to some extent, you're right. Like that is what would happen. Eventually there would be public transport. You'd be able to take the shuttle bus version of the tour. You know what I mean? Rather than the luxury space ride to the moving elevator thing. But like, I just think that the fact that we default to just being like, well, let the market decide who gets that it's everything. And I think that just speaks to that.
Yeah, it does. And the difficult thing about the market being able to determine things is that sometimes you'll have companies, for instance, that would want to be able to make that happen, but are binded by, let's say, the capital costs that come into making that. So when someone's going to invest in being able to create something of that sort, one, they need to be able to get some cash from somewhere to be able to build, let's say, a space hotel. Now, whoever's lending that capital is now going to insist on there having to be a return for it. And in order to get the quickest return, you have to increase the prices, increase the experience, cater to the people that would be able to pay for that experience. Cater to that bracket, that value bracket. Is it a 4-star hotel? Is it a 5-star hotel? Those things absolutely matter as well in terms of the packaging that you're qualified for to charge. So capital interest definitely it doesn't allow for the most open, welcoming thing of it, but even people with the right intentions of like making a public space station are still binded down by costs at times.
Big facts. Big facts.
Mr. Melson, Xavier,
Yeah.
we have to let the people know that we had some technical difficulties that cut us right there. However, jumping back into the show, I have a question for you, sir, and it's actually a little bit off script. I know we didn't prep for this, and it's also a little bit off of our usual structure, but it's something that I've been thinking about today, and I wanted to bring it forward to you, right? Which is, do you think people that grow up in difficult environments are able to withstand a higher level of hurt and pain and of tragedy?
Nah. I think people that grow up in difficult environments are forced to adapt, and they don't always adapt in the healthiest possible way. They often adapt in whatever ways will allow them to move forward and just to get through the day, right? And that often manifests as challenges later, that like, of just things that you haven't dealt with internally. So I would be careful about saying that people who are raised in difficult situations are more able to deal with pain and hardship, because I don't want to minimize how much that pain and hardship still affects those people, regardless of what situation that they're born into. You know what I mean? Like, no matter where you were born, you're still as human as everybody. You still feel pain and you still feel that as much as anybody else. those people often are forced to develop mechanisms to confront and deal with that pain in different ways. And depending on when that difficult situation starts and who's around them, they might not always have the tools to do that in a healthy way.
Yeah, yeah. This is something that you think about because when we do a lot of the work that we do, which is taking food to orphanages, even within our own families at times, people that are in people that are in impoverished areas, right? It's the amount of pain that people are dealing with is quite intense. It's quite intense, which is why I always suggest to people who would like purpose and understanding of life to throw themselves into helping somebody, into helping people, throw themselves into joining an organization, throw themselves into starting a foundation, throw themselves into assisting in some capacity with people that are less fortunate. And it gives you so much gratitude about the life that you have because people are really going through some very, very serious things, some very deep, dark things.
Yeah. I think there's a lot in what you said, right? When you say like throw yourself into helping people. Um, there's a quote from
I think it's Cornel West, but I heard it from Tavis Smiley. So either way, I got my bases covered. But it's you can't lead the people if you don't love the people, and you can't save the people if you don't serve the people, right? And so when you say throw yourself into to helping others, that involves a lot of things, right? It involves humbling yourself. It involves getting to know yourself and getting to understand the spaces around you and the people that need help, right? So there's a lot of internal work to be done with that, and that work is healing, I find, right? When you start to think about, I want to, like, because part of that process, okay, I want to help people. Who, where, what matters to me, what are the things that I've experienced and what strikes a chord with me, and what are the areas in which I might be willing to work or extend effort for just the good of it. And I think, yeah, learning those things about yourself is part of healing.
It definitely. And again, if anything else, this we try and make sure that this space is open for that reason. People that are looking for a dose of positivity and a dose of joy. So it's just something that I was
Healing.
thinking of. It's something that I was just thinking about. You know what I mean? And I'm glad. And I knew you were the right person to ask, and that this All the Way Live community was the right ones to bring this question to. So, thank you for letting me.
Perfect.
Thank you for letting me share that. Mr. Miles Xavier, can you please take us to our current news, please?
Yeah. So let's bring us back to this question. This question of if people who operate in capitalism and people who are making various investments to like achieve, whatever ends, whether that's purely profit or whether that is beneficial to more than one's own self, your investments make you beholden to your previous investments, your next investment, and whatever the costs of doing your current business are. And so, is it possible? And all of that is dictated by the market of supply and demand. And so, with all of those forces, all of those invisible hands, as they call them in economics, right, on your project, is it possible for that to be rooted in something moral? And how that loops into our current news is our boy Hove has just sold Tidal to the tune of $297 million.
Well, if we're getting specific about it, the New York Times says that Square acquires majority of Tidal, Jay-Z's streaming service, in $297 million deal. What did Jay-Z and Jack Dorsey talk about when they went yachting around the Hamptons together last summer? I hate how New York Times writes like that. Like, just give me the facts. Square, the mobile payments company led by Mr. Dorsey, who owns Twitter, by the way, announced on Thursday its plan to acquire a significant majority of Tidal, the streaming music service owned by Jay-Z and other artists, including Beyonce, Jay-Z's wife, and Rihanna, who is a client of Jay-Z's entertainment management company, Roc Nation. Square will pay $297 million in stock and cash for the stake in Tidal. Jay-Z will join Square's board. Damn.
Word. Hey, congratulations for reading. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
But yeah, so he sells Tidal, and this loops into a conversation that we had last week about him also selling Ace of Spades, right? And so what I had expressed during that conversation was that I feel like it's dope that he's getting money. It's dope that Black products are being recognized as valuable, and companies that have the momentum to have longevity, and that companies are seeing that and willing to pay for that and incorporate that into the portfolio. But I liked there was a Black champagne that I could go use. And I said during that conversation, we'd heard rumors of Tidal being sold, and I liked that my streaming service was Black. No longer. You know what I mean? Now there's a different conversation, as you mentioned, about the artists owning it, and what that says about the music industry. Now that's a minority share, now that Jay-Z is not the majority shareholder, that conversation changes a little bit too. But I'm glad that they kept and noted that they mentioned often that the artists kept their shares of Tidal. But yeah, I certainly, as a user that was like, I was glad that my streaming service was Black. I don't feel the same way about Tidal anymore.
Yeah, and it brings us to the question of how Black, what is our loyalty to Black brands, right? Like, how Black do we want a Black establishment to be in order for it to qualify for any consumer that seeks Black owned businesses only? So for instance, with Bevel, right? Bevel was the man's shaving cream. The man's shaving.
Word, I bought my pops a Bevel. It's a razor. It's like embedded in like like the head that you would hold, almost like a Gillette razor, but it allows you to encase a straight razor that way. So it gives you a real clean shave, especially if you have curly hair. And it was designed for Black men, right, in the sense, or Black people with curly hair. So shout out to Bevel.
Shout out to Bevel. Now Bevel got sponsored. Bevel got financed by Procter and Gamble, I believe. I think it was a $50 million deal that they got to them. So now that there is a bigger interest in a white-owned entity into what we have just described as a strong Black-owned company, the question then is, does that, and it's the right question for us to ask as users, which is, at what point does it still qualify for it to be considered a fully Black-owned company? My personal belief is that some companies require additional capital in order to grow and increase the type of impact that they want to do. It's possible that Tidal is unable to garner as much momentum and attention because it does not have the capital. It does not have the capital to be able to rely on some of the incentives that, let's say, some of the other music streaming services would have. We know that Spotify comes with massive capital. We know that Apple Music comes with massive capital. So they're able to then, for instance, get Drake into these Apple exclusive deals and, you know, usher out some of these other financial things that they can do. Let's say, for instance, let's put this into perspective. The Joe Rogan deal going to Spotify is more than what Jay-Z's deal is. No, I'm lying. I'm totally lying. Yo, you there?
I'm there. Yeah, I hear you.
I can't hear you. The connection was timing up, but I think we are back. All right, cool. Ready?
Yep.
All right, cool. The Joe Rogan, if we're putting it into perspective, the Joe Rogan deal, $100 million deal, is half of what this whole majority stakeholdership in Jay-Z's deal is, right?
A third. It's a third because it's 100 million and there's 197 million. So it's a third. Yeah.
It's a third.
And
but
so
one contract, not to cut you, but just to finish off the thought, right? One contract of one entertainer on one platform is a third of majority stakeholdership of an entire platform. You know, so the capital differences are quite significant.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think the question that brings to mind is, like, do you have to be a giant to survive, right? Like, there might be something to be said for just being the black owned company and the artist owned company. And maybe, yeah, you're never going to be Spotify, you're never going to be Apple Music, because you don't have one. You're, first of all, you're never going to be Apple, and Spotify ain't Apple because the hardware base. But you got Spotify, like, you don't have to, do you have to be Spotify, or do you have to be competing to be one of the top major players, or is there room for the, and yeah, for sure, you can, like, I'll be corny and say the moral option, right? But like, just be like, yeah, this is just the black owned, this is the black owned version. And you know what I mean? Like, shea butter by, you know, Homegirl is never going to be the same as Jergens, or is never going to be the same as, you know, these huge companies, right? That, but there's a market for it. People need it.
Let's get a little bit more specific and personal, which is something that we both have said we wanted to be able to do on this podcast, right? So one of my occupations and businesses is a food delivery service in Namibia, which has now grown to be the largest food delivery service in Namibia, right? Chomi Bites, founded by CJ Dumeni, who is our CEO.
Yeah, once for Tommy Bites. I'm sorry, but I can't allow you to speak on Tommy Bites without knowing your credentials, sir. Who are you to speak for Tommy?
Oh, I'm the CFO right now. I'm the CFO right now, and an equity holder. I own.
Oh, excuse me.
I said excuse me, but I'm an equity holder as well, right? So where we are in the infancy of the startup, which has been operating now going on to 2 years, is that, like, we need to expand our operation, right? What we have seen is that we have gotten 50 different drivers jobs in a market where unemployment is through the roof. There's no job opportunities. There's 50 drivers that are uploading onto our site. You know what I mean? We've given 50 new people opportunities to get some passive income. Um, the We want to be able to increase that impact. Thank you. I thought that was some fly stuff too. So we want to be able to increase that impact, right? And so part of why I took on this project and why it excited me so much is that it gives us the opportunity to try and move an entire group of people that are not yet hooked onto the digital economy. We're trying to get them to move into that digital economy. So some of the issues that we have to solve are: what makes somebody comfortable enough to be able to purchase something online? Like, what makes them comfortable to exchange cash out, right? And so what we realized from very early on is, one, you have to meet the market where it is. We're speaking to these people. We start on WhatsApp and on Facebook, and then from there migrated them to a website, and now migrating them to the App Store that has now launched, right? So slowly guiding people towards this process of digitalization. We are growing at a rate now where we need to take on more capital in order to hire more people to run the operations, pay the drivers more capital, get some hardware into some of these different restaurants and stuff um, that don't have, let's say, tablets or phones in order to upload their orders onto our system, and also move into our second phase of growth, which is last mile logistics, right? Which is now hooking onto putting our API onto the e-commerce stores, and then delivering all of the food into the e-commerce stores, introducing things such as same-day delivery into Namibia, which is something that is not a promise when it comes to e-commerce. We're bringing in 1 hour or less food delivery, which is something that they've never seen before. So in order to be able to have that impact, we need to take on capital. Now, as we are a fully black-owned company, however, the capital that we want to interest is white capital.
Sure, right?
You see what I'm saying? So it to me, when I see, let's say, Tidal having majority shares bought into Square, I don't immediately run to the thought of, oh man, it's no longer a black company or whatever. I run to, oh, now it has more capital to probably execute on some of its main initiatives that it wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, but what are those? Does it though? Because it does it have the room to capture the main initiatives that it had in the first place, which was artist ownership. I think if Jay-Z's divesting from it significantly hinders how much it was artist owned. I don't think that Jack Dorsey's buying of it is to further the dream of what Tidal could be as a game changer in the music space. I think it's Twitter is struggling to compete with Instagram and TikTok and needs to integrate music quickly. And Tidal was low hanging fruit as a place to get that. So I mean, I guess it depends on your perspective on what the best intentions of the market are and what the market demands, and whether or not the first thing that occurs to you in a business sense is that it's no longer black owned. But the fact of the matter is that it's no longer black owned, and to me that makes a difference. And I rest in white ownership Tidal.
No, but listen, and you're very much entitled. entitled. You're very much entitled to have that opinion as a consumer, right? You're very, very much within your rights to decide what your barometer of what constitutes as a black company is. And I fully encourage all consumers to think that way, is to hold their dollars and their capital and their money as making as a decision to support into something that you believe in, and or support into something that you don't. If you want to be able to see more black businesses, support and choose with your dollars in order to support more black businesses. If there's a certain standard of things that you believe companies should be doing, take your capital and force it into the companies that are doing that which you do. It's inconvenient right now, but the more people add that cash into there, then it starts becoming a norm. And like we had mentioned earlier in the podcast, it starts becoming cheaper and more available for people. So, people treat your money like your rights, like your vote.
Yeah, for sure. And it will be very interesting to see if we ever hear anything from Tidal again, because as somebody who doesn't use like anything but potentially like SoundCloud as a main music like apparatus, I like just actually deal with the raw, like the MP3 files, and like buy the music and download it and stuff. So, but I use Tidal because it was black owned, and when I speak to other people that are even like music heads, right? Nobody else uses Tidal except black people that I know, right? So we're again just speaking from my experience, but nobody else that I know uses Tidal except people that use it because it's black owned. So I wonder how much of the base of Tidal are users that use it for that reason. Now it has some fire features that I think outclassed a lot of the other streaming services, namely the fact that it was the first place that I saw a playlist organized by producer. That's fire. So there were some amazing things about Tidal, but it'll be interesting to see what it becomes, or if it just fades into the background as a supplemental aspect of what Twitter is trying to evolve into. Or because, yeah, man, I don't know how many people use Tidal just because they thought it was the best streaming service.
And that's also because of its price point, right? The Tidal price point came in significantly higher than what the other streaming services were offering at the time. There's some streaming services that $7 deals, $11 deals, where Tidal was coming in at $20 at a time where that was significantly higher than what the market was going for. So that immediately definitely put people off of Tidal. And then also that was still at a time where there was a lot of exclusive wars that were being had between the different streaming services, who gets to drop whose music first and things of that nature. Tidal couldn't compete. It also coincided at the same time where Kanye West was having that fallout with Jay-Z as well. So I think that either could have put a dent in there or something to that sort. And also the way that they rolled out their platform initially, I don't think was the most appropriate way to introduce it. They kind of paraded the artists around as if just advocating, they were parading the artists around a little bit. It wasn't what you'd expect.
A little bit, right? So I think that, I mean, and tell me where you want to go with this. We can roll this into, I think, a larger conversation about Hove and who he is and what he means to us, if we want to keep it personal, and how the evolution of that, or we
My
can
Lord
dive
and
into
Savior.
some other shit. I'll leave it up to you.
Hey,
I'm
listen,
wearing wear best, so I can't do anything but be about it.
no, but like, and I like where you're taking us with it. The conversation that I see in that question lies in a millennial's point of view of hope, right? Like, who does hope? Uh, what does hope mean to some your mid to late 20s, your generation Y? We're generation Y.
Oh well, yeah, yeah, I don't know if, yeah, is that the AKA for millennials, Generation Y? I
I
think
think so. Are we millennials?
yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are
So
millennials.
I would say I know for sure that my perspective on Hope does not reflect the general perspective on Jay-Z for the average millennial, the average person my age, right? I think I have been more affected and have sought out more information on Jay-Z than most people my age. So for sure, I don't really represent what people think. I don't know. I would say they don't really care that much. I don't know. I don't think millennials care that much about Jay-Z. To most millennials, Jay-Z is Beyonce's wife. Or Beyonce, damn. Wow. Straight like that, but I love Hope too much to stay straight like that. Jay-Z is Beyonce's husband.
You say
Damn.
nobody loves Jay-Z the way you love Jay-Z?
No, I'm saying I'm sure Beyonce loves Jay-Z much more, that he matters as much to most millennials as he matters to me.
Yeah, and again, I think but it goes back into a hip hop thing because there's some millennials that I know that equally are as passionate about Jay Z. I mean, I heard some I heard somebody say Jay Z. They said Drake is Beyonce for niggas, and I I think that's hilarious. But if you want to put where we place Jay Z, it would have to be next to Oprah for me. Whoever Oprah is who Jay Z is to me, in the sense that they're both people that had a late start in their careers, had a lot of attention on them, carried their respective talents at the forefront of their art, and pushed it forward, and were breaking boundaries in the type of different spaces and ways that they increase their network and increase their businesses, and have been dominating, and have graced so and have aged so gracefully. Jay Z is Oprah, bro.
I think that's a great comparison. I think that's one of the more accurate. Like, yeah, that's great. That's well done, because I think that's spot on, in the sense that there are some things that I kind of look at Oprah side-eyed for, right? Her criticisms of, ironically, hip hop, for one, right?
Mm.
And there are things I look at Hove side-eyed for, like the NFL deal, right? What became of that? You know what I mean? Certainly
Nothing,
nothing
dude.
that
The weekend came, shook himself over, and then it's finished.
nothing that reflected the degree of seriousness that the discussions around the NFL were being had at that time. And so I think just kudos to the fire. That's a fire comparison.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad we're able to
I
get
think
into
Hove
that,
is,
man.
yeah, man. Yeah,
And
man. So what do you
and
want to do? You want to give Hope some more love? We can do it all day. I got the vinyl on the wall. I'll go get it. I'll read the back of it. I'll show you some pictures. Or you want to do some other shit?
yeah, we can both go get our Hove art, show it to the fans, discuss it. What if we literally could do this all day? Hey man, but we still got some recommendeds and reviews to
Literally
get
could
it.
do that.
We got some recommendations and review to get in for the people, man. We got a few things. Now tell me, why did you watch Coming to America too? Why would you do that to yourself?
Because the first one is a classic, and because I mean, yeah, this is the Black Support Network show. Like, yeah, man, for sure. Like, It's a black movie. It's Eddie Murphy. I support that. I will cast my hour and a half stream as one of the numbers that was like, yeah, if y'all continue to make movies like this and get these folks, I will watch. I didn't go into it thinking it was going to be good, but go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask you. So, what's your rating on the movie? How is it?
Well, there's one thing that encapsulates the whole movie, right? And if you want me to blow your mind later, and this should be some Patreon shit, I'll explain to you why Gemini Man doesn't work and what movie. I had a conversation with Freddie about this, bruh. I'll blow your mind.
I
But
still haven't watched Gemini
back
Man.
to dude. Oh well, then you kind of won't. You'll still kind of get it, but yeah, you'll still kind of get it. But it blew my mind because I watched the movie and I was like, this is a good bad movie. And then Freddie was like, he gave me some game and he was like, this is what it was supposed to be. And I was like, whoa. And they couldn't do it because they weren't ready to risk it. But anyway, back to what were we talking about?
Coming to America too.
But Coming to America too. Coming to America too. So there's one thing. It's the original movie was rated R. This movie is rated PG-13. That tells you everything you need to know about what this is right there, right? The fact that they had a classic movie that was basically for black folks made with black people in mind, and it was a hit, and it was a bigger hit than they ever thought it was. So that they finally got the cast of it, who have all had a lot of success since then, back together to do the second movie. And they were like, all right, but we're going to get the money on this one. We're going to drop the R rating. We're going to make sure that, they relied, when you watch the movie, you could tell they relied a lot more on just like, and here's this person, rather than like the actual story or like any actual content. It's just like, turn the camera to a star. Look at the star. It's Tracy Morgan. It's Eddie Murphy. You know what I mean? It's Lunel. It's, all these different people. And it's like, while those people are incredibly entertaining, you can tell that this movie wasn't trying. It thought it had all the pieces and there's no glue. Oh, yeah. Also, it's not focused on Eddie. It's focused on his son. And they did hire a comic actor to do this. They just hired an unknown actor. The whole reason Coming to America works is because Eddie Murphy's in every scene and he bodies it. I was watching it thinking they should have made D the son. Big facts. Ooh. They should have made DC Young Fly the son.
Ooh. That would have been a more exciting movie.
Yeah. 1,000%. 1,000%. But you can't have DC Young Fly. I mean, you could have DC Young Fly in a PG-13 movie, but make it rated R and make DC Young Fly the son. And that's a movie that's going to hit. Review. Recommended.
There you have it.
Yeah, for sure. But still go watch it because although despite everything I just said, it's not a bad watch at all. It's just not as good as the first one. It's still funny. It's still cool to look at. It's in Rick Ross's house. Their fits are crazy. Like the music is dope. Tiana Taylor's in it. Like there's a whole bunch of reasons to watch it. It's not a bad watch at all, but it's not a true follow-up to the first one.
What's our very quick top 3 black movies? That could be
top 3 black movies.
That could be the black artist, black director, or all black cast.
I mean, in no particular. Payton, and then I gotta put Do the Right Thing, and man,
putting you on the spot here.
I might put the Bad Boys in there. You are. I might put. That's my hot take 3. Paid in Full. Bad Boys, Do the Right Thing.
I have to go Mo Better Blues. Paid in Full.
Dang it.
Too late. It's too late.
Mo Better Blues.
Paid in Full.
You're right.
Mo Better Blues, and then Snakes on a Plane.
Snakes on. Bruh. Matter of fact, let's get him man. That movie I just watched that movie recently. That movie is fire. Like, if you just need a movie to just like, it's the perfect movie to just watch and be like, there was a time when we cared about nothing so much that we put Samuel L. Jackson on a plane full of snakes and just let him say motherfucker over and over again. And we were happy. That's a beautiful. Oh, watch snakes on a plane.
It's good times, good times. And yo, before we even get out of here, bro, we did see UFC 257 this week. Was it 257?
Oh no, but it was a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? It was a fire card. Oh, did we lose him? We done lost him. We done lost his way. Listen, it's a great UFC. Listen, blows was thrown, blows was bodied. It was a whole lot going on, man. Let me tell you. Let me break it down for y'all, man, real quick. Let me tell y'all what happened, man. It was a card of the century, man. We had Thiago Santos was fighting Rocky.
Yep.
Rocky won. Thiago Santos took that L, but he'll be back. Thiago Santos is a warrior, and it was by decision. You know what I mean? So he didn't stop him, and that man can't be stopped. He'll be back. We had Drew versus Makhachev. I don't know how to say that.
Makhachev.
I think I'm getting close. My fault.
Islam Makhachev.
But yeah, that one. Whatever it is, my apologies for butchering his name, but he butchered that other man on the octagon. So There's a lot of butchering going on. Okay, he messed that man up. He messed Dover up. I'm sorry. You know, we always gotta always acknowledge that to get in that ring, you got to be a warrior. But man, he got messed up in a fashion that reminded me very much of Khabib.
Yes, and even going to that Khabib talk, we do know that they're from the same Dagestan. They're from Dagestan. They're from the same camp. Khabib was actually even in the ring with Islam after he fought and won. These guys do ground and pound. That's their game. They take it to the floor. They maul you. They want to maul you, and that's what they do very, very well. Shout out to Islam.
You can tell it's that head. I'm gonna put this head all over your chin, and you're gonna feel it. It's tough. It's a lot of pressure.
One thing I love about the UFC is that you can see how technical this sport is. So when you're watching a Khabib or Islam wrestle, and how they leverage body weights and how they shift body weights and control the movements. You know, these guys aren't necessarily massive, but they're so technical in the way that they understand body maneuver and body placements and pressure placements. You cannot watch that and not think that it's high level chess.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, high level and high stakes, right? Because you can see a body part get trapped and then the pressure. Scary. Aljamain Sterling from Jamaica. He felt the pressure of Peter Yan. And let me tell you, it wasn't looking good for our brother Aljamain until an illegal knee. His knee was down. Aljamain's knee was down. So now if your knee is down, if you're down, you cannot be kneed in the face.
No kneeing in the face.
Y'all need him in the face. Take a knee to the face. Now
he heard him. I think we should tell people that we were watching this fight together, and it was after he kneed him in the head. He kneed him at the side of the head. They disqualified Yan, who was clearly winning the fight before that, and then Aljamain wins the championship. So Aljamain wins the fight by virtue of disqualification. The controversy, Miles Xavier, is you think that Aljamain Sterling threw a little bit of sauce on those tears, on his reaction.
I think in this high stakes game of chess, he saw an opportunity. I think he was for sure hurt. The move was without question illegal. And before I say anything else, who am I to tell anybody what he was feeling in that moment? But the vibes that I got when I was watching him, me personally, my perspective, was that he was hurt and he knew he was losing the fight, and he knew that if he didn't if he didn't give any sign that he would be ready, or that, you know what I mean, that he would, not that he wanted to, he gave lots of signs that he wanted to fight, but no signs that he was able or ready to fight. And I think he knew that if he didn't do that, the fight would be that Jan would be disqualified and that he would be the champion. I don't think that's how he wanted to win. I think he's a true fighter and a true warrior. But I think in that moment, that's a little bit of career chess. Maybe a little bit of sauce, but he's 100% in the right because the move is illegal, and that's exactly what should have happened anyway. I'm just saying, I'm giving him the credit of knowing that.
I see that. I see that. What my only retort is to that is that I've never been round 4 of a 5-round championship match against a UFC what weight class, a UFC bantamweight champion. I've never swam those waters before, so I don't know how hard they need. I would assume pretty hard, and I'd assume anybody that can fight up until the point where they're in front of that opportunity and fighting against somebody like Petr Yan, people that are been able to fight through adversity, regardless of how bad they've been injured. Now that's what I see from it, but I can totally, I respect your view.
Well said. And yeah, I also just want to add that that's his body that's on the line, right? So when you're in that ring, even if you are a little bit impaired, am I going to go stand in front of this dangerous man again after being impaired and kind of chance it with my face and head some more, right? That's also, the fight absolutely should have been stopped. Yeah, absolutely should have been disqualified. And what happened was exactly what should have happened. What happened is what we would expect to happen, just like whenever Amanda Nunes steps in the ring. We know what's going to happen.
At this point, there's nobody. There's who can stop Amanda Nunes is the question, and the answer is nobody.
Not me.
not me. Not me. And I don't care who here is listening and is thinking to themselves, "Oh, she's a girl, maybe me." No,
not you.
Not you. Not you.
Word.
Not you.
Yo, shout out to her, man. There's not too much to be said. Megan Anderson, she looked like she was, and especially in her promo videos, she looked ready. She looked like she said all the right things leading up to the fight. She did have a little bit of a size and I think a little bit of a reach advantage, but I think she did have to cut weight for the fight. I think that definitely, it's not going to help you when you're taking punches from Amanda Nunes. So it went how we expected it to go. Champion. Kudos to her, man. Get that money. I seen her in those Modelo commercials. I'm buying Modelo because of that. This is the support episode, man. Look, this is the BIPOC, economic support episode. Big facts. Go buy Modelo because I think Amanda Nunes is getting a cut of that.
I did straight like that. Yeah, no, she's a beast. She's an absolute beast. I think they're just gonna keep feeding her women and have her knock them out the first round. The same thing happens every time. Everyone gets into the ring, they face up, she hits them in the face, and then it very quickly ends from there. And then it starts going downhill quickly.
Then it starts ending. It starts ending.
It starts ending very. And it's not to say that these women aren't tough. I mean, Megan Anderson is 6 feet. She's been pounding. She's been hurting girls for a while now. Some people would say that that is a roadman in male in the male division. Someone with that type of record. But that being said, she is a dangerous fighting girl, and Amanda Nunes just so happens to be an even more dangerous fighting girl.
Are you a? Nah.
Don't do that. Don't pay me. Don't pay me with that brush. Don't pay me with that brush. You put that brush down. You put that brush down.
Because you knew what you said.
I'll cut it out if I have to, but don't pay me with that brush. You're gonna have people thinking,
a journeyman in the male division with that record of pounding girls out. Come on, son.
Hey man, it is what it is. It is.
Yo,
what it
journeyman
is.
is the name of the episode. Make sure y'all listen to figure out what that means. And last but not least, Last but not least, we have Izzy, our guy Izzy.
And Blakovic. This one hurt, man, because this one it did like
I'm a fan.
I'm a big fan of Izzy. We're both big Izzy fans, man. Izzy's a star. And I was commenting after he lost the fight how he is so poised and composed and exudes the air of a champion superstar. And I don't think seeing that man lose that fight in the way that he did diminishes any of his star power in my eyes whatsoever. If anything, it confirms to me how talented of a fighter he is, how brave of a fighter he is, and how he is so just about the sport and being able to fight the best people that he can fight.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think but I think we got to give Jan his props. You know what I mean? It's always tough. You wanna support your guy, the person that you rode with as far as their career, and yeah, Izzy. Even listening to him speak in interviews and podcasts, is somebody who is definitely a man of the people, and I'm certainly one of those people. But Jan did an amazing job, man. He came in and he did what he needed to do. He applied the pressure. He hit him with punches that had everything to him, the hip rotation, his whole body weight's in there. And with that weight difference, with Izzy trying to step up a weight class, I think that made the difference in the fight, especially when it got to the ground.
Yeah, I think the weight jump was evidently the deciding point here in this match. Going into it, the first two rounds started off on the feet. I think they split those rounds 1-1. The first round, they kind of feeling each other out. You could give it to Jan if you want to. That's when somebody landed some of those heavy shots. Going into the second round, that's when Izzy really started getting into his flow of kickboxing and whatnot. Once it got into the third and fourth round, that's when Jan decided to just completely out wrestle him, and that's what happened from there. It's that, and I thought about it is that because as I was thinking about the fight, I thought to myself, you have Izzy who won some rounds definitely. Going into the fifth round, you could have split it 2-2. However, when Izzy was dominating in the rounds that he won, it never looked like Jan was in a position where he was completely being overwhelmed. However, in the rounds that Jan won, he was completely dominating Izzy. He wasn't able to do anything whatsoever once he started wrestling him and grounding and pounding.
I think that's a great assessment of how to, there were obviously it was a unanimous decision. Different judges scored it different ways, and I think the way that you just kind of characterized the difference in how it looked when Jan was winning the fight versus how it looked when Izzy is winning the fight. I keep calling him Wizzy, but Izzy was winning the fight. So it was a great fight, great card. It was an honor to be able to catch up with you and our peoples and gather around to watch that together on Zoom. Yeah, man, I appreciate that ritual quality of content that the UFC continues to bring, and I'm excited to see Izzy continue to grow, man. I think now he knows this. Everybody saw that, so now the wrestling got to be real. Yeah. Everybody saw that, so now the wrestling got to be real, and I think Izzy with real serious wrestling skills is real dangerous and looks very familiar if you've been watching the UFC.
For sure, especially because when it was still kickboxing, it was top. His kickboxing was absolutely top. You could, in his striking capabilities and in his movements and in his confidence going into the third round, he really did. You know what it reminded me of, bro? Remember when the Mountain fought in Game of Thrones?
Oberyn Tyrell.
He's fought Oberyn Tyrell. And Oberyn is winning in the first rounds. He's the smaller fighter.
He's the Viper,
and he's more agile, and he bounces around and everything. And it looks like he's fighting. Then right at the end, they just crush him down. That's kind of what it went like this fight.
Yeah. Yeah, damn. You bodying this. Yeah, for sure. That's a great comparison as well. It's a great comparison as well. Izzy's yeah, he's clearly hard to match with on the feet. He's so dangerous with the angles that he finds and the different ways he can attack you. But yeah, when you get him on the ground, especially with that weight difference, it's gonna be tough. I think that it makes the John Jones fight the talk of Izzy versus John Jones, like, oh, we kind of know that you can't wrestle with John. So
Yeah,
that's looking a little different. But I also think that, like I said, Izzy with that wrestling game is quite a force to be reckoned with. So
for
we'll see.
sure. For sure. Nah, with the John Jones, he's gonna have to put a little bit of respect on John Jones' names because that is a division that John Jones dominated. Dominated. So much so left that division, dominates in an even bigger division over there. So, the goal is always to fight the greats, and John Jones is definitely the greats. And Izzy, being the fighter that he is, I'm sure has that on his hit list. But that being said, boys to men, bro. Boys to men.
Big facts. Big
Boys
facts.
to men.
Hey, cuz, I
My
think we all
brother.
serving them a hot and helping a content, man.
I think so
Anything
too.
else?
I think so too, Miles Xavier. And we're very thankful for everybody for joining us onto the show, man. Catch us every Wednesday on all of your DSPs. That is, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever the case is. Shout out to the people. Recommend some things to us because we know.
Yeah, we know, man. We aware. Nah, I mean, it's real. And still y'all here, So the fact that y'all got so many podcast options to choose from, and y'all continue to rock with us, that's a beautiful thing, man. We appreciate y'all. We hope y'all feel welcome in this space. Welcome to like, comment, subscribe, recommend topics, but also seen and heard and represented. And if not, tell us, man. Interact with us. So we appreciate y'all, man. This is what? It's a celebration of what? It's a celebration of life. Celebrating. It's a celebration of being black. Don't it feel good to be black?
My favorite thing.
Man, listen, wherever y'all at, y'all need to eat something delicious and go watch Snakes on the Plane. Like that. Peace, water, we go.